Hey guys, Arthur here with another Autodesk Maya tutorial. Today I'll be covering skin shading in Maya. First off, this video will be quite render heavy. So as most of you know, if you've been watching my previous tutorials, this unit is really slow when I render, especially um while I am recording videos. So bear with me and let's get to it. I'll be working with quite um mental ray, and I'll be lowering the settings drastically, I guess. Yeah. And as for quality, you guys want to bring down your samplings to 1. Yeah, and indirect lighting, let's bring down final gather to 10.1. Point of interpolation, we can leave that at 50. And this is 0. Alright, so these settings should be good if you guys are working with units just as slow as mine. Bring sampling to 0. Sorry. Yeah, leave these. Alright, so this model was provided for us in school. I study at VFS. I'm still early in the program. So anyways, this was made by our instructor, Jesse Irvin. And yeah, we were required to UV map this, and well, this was last term, so I just took the model and using it now. Yeah, it's not really a big deal. I mean, it's not like this was a production model or anything. So anyways, we went in and UV'd this. This is my map. I might cover that sometime. Due to requests, I had more requests on skin shading and texturing, so I'll be covering that. So anyway, let's get to it. So first off, I want to deal with the shading first. So let's go to let's assign a new material, and I like what we will be covering will be the MISSS Fast Skin Shader. Okay. Now let's create a new light map. Alright, so first off, it turns red. There's nothing you can do that really turns red. So let's go to our material attributes and work from there. First off, in your light map, you want to include indirect lighting. We will fix this later. We will cover a bit of lighting today. And in the MISSS Fast Skin Maya, let's go down to algorithm control, and let's uncheck screen composite. So what we did was we included indirect lighting. That means now final gather will have an effect. Image-based lighting will have an effect on our model, and it will just bring out better lighting quality to it. As for the screen composite, as you can see, if you keep your eyes on the shader, if I check this, it will it will clamp the colors, it will clamp everything and limit your shader to just that. We do not want that. We want realistic effects. So we want to work without the clamp on. For some reason they do this. I do not know why this checkbox is even here. We would not want to remove the realistic effects of the skin shader anyway. So anyways, first off, let's deal with these values. I will go in and explain these values. Epidermal. The epidermal layer is the outermost layer of your skin. Subdermal is that layer of muscle and fat. And for your backscatter color, that is your bone marrow and blood in general. Okay, so these settings work quite well, but not really. The numbers do not, the colors do. Let's get to the numbers. The scatter weight, the epidermal scatter weight is how heavy this color will come up. Now, there's like this general rule where you have to keep the backscatter weight and the subdermal scatter weight sum equivalent to 1. So if you do not want to go beyond 1. So if you have 5 here, you want to go 5 here. There. You just want to keep them below 1. So usually I work with 0.4, 0.6 just to start off, okay? This varies totally depending on what race we're going for. So, yeah. Anyway, diffuse weight we can bring down to 0.1. That is this diffuse color. Our diffuse color is white. And, well, it doesn't have to be that heavy. So now, as you can see, it lowered the spec. It was contributing a lot to the specular color in general. So we can bring that down to 0.1. So now it turned yellowish because our skin colors are yellowish and orangey. So anyways, another thing to look out for is the radius. Now Maya by default works with inches. So this means our epidermal scatter radius is 8 inches. This is 25 inches, and then our backscatter is 25 inches. Now, that is obviously not accurate, so we have to make them accurate. Epidermal scatter, we bring that to 0.8, 0.1, so 0.1 inches. It's really just that layer of skin on top, that really thin layer of skin that you can peel off. And then for subdermal scatter radius, this is 2.5. So we're just lowering them. We're not really changing the values. We're just lowering. So as you can see here in the sample, it really brought down the spec. This alone still has too much specular. So let's bring that down here in our specularity. Our overall weight, we can bring that to 0.1. And there you go. We have a working skin shader. Let's set up some basic lights here. So let's create lights. I like working with directionals first. Let's turn on lights. Ooh, forgot to delete this guy. Okay. Outliner, please. Now, another general rule is you want to work with your models up to scale. Oh, the graph, it's all the way down there. Bring that up. Scale that up. Okay, I'll use this for the backlight first. Bring this up to 4. So remember, if you want to use subsurface scattering, you want to have your models up to scale. That means if your model is 5 feet tall, you have to model him at 5 feet tall. In this case, I think this model is 6 feet. To check that, you go to your grid options, set your length and width to 30 units, grid lines every 12 units, this means 12 inches, and subdivisions per 1 inch. That means there's 12 inches, and we want subdivisions every 1 inch for 30 units. Okay, so let's apply that. Do not do much with the graph, but if we go to our orthographic view, okay, so 1 foot would be, oh wait, I'm sorry guys, this means the grid options mean 12 units, grid lines every 12 units. That means grid lines every 12 inches. That means grid lines every foot. So this guy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wow, 7 feet. This was a mutated lobster, so I guess that works. Let's bring that down. But as you can see, his face is like approximately like 1.5 feet large, so that works. Does it? Yeah, I think that works. Still too big, I guess. Let's check. Let's check with our when we set the lights up. You guys will see the difference. So let's create a spotlight. Now the thing with subsurface scattering, before I create the spotlight, all your shadows All your lights must cast shadows. So bring that to 32, 32. Okay, let's not work with large samples first. Let's bring this down to 10. Shadow rays to 8. This will be quite messy render because I don't want to deal with the render times yet. In the final render, we'll clean everything up. So in our lights, let's create a spotlight. And let's view this. So look through selected. And this is a good way to target your lights at the angle you want. So let's bring up the light angle, cone angle, and the penumbra. Now I'm just working against the backlight. Let this cast shadows. Use ray trace, 10, 32. Alright, then let's go back to our perspective. Now, the beauty of subsurface scattering is we don't need much lights. Yep, this black area here will be smoothed out. You guys will see. So let's do a render. Now don't be worried about the blue. The blank render, it's normal. It's reading the light map and the other data from the skin shader. So it will take time before it really does go in and black out the render. So yeah. And there you go. Wow, that is washed out. Our camera for some reason is rendering with, God, this is terrible. Our camera has an environment. We want to remove that, make this black. Let's render that again. Final Gather reads this background color. So in any case, if you're working, for example, if you're working like on an environment and you do not want to use image-based lighting, this would be a nice way to control your environment. So for example, you're working outdoors in a morning setting, you want to bring this up to a brighter color. And there is our basic skin shader. Very yellow, I'm not a big fan of that. The lights are terrible. Let's fix that. And we do get this black area. This is not supposed to be happening. Okay, first off, our backlight needs to rotate a bit. And let's bring down 4 is a bit too much, I guess. Bring that down to 2. Okay, and then let's duplicate our spotlight and let's make a fill light here, this side. Now this only needs to be like 0.4. Okay, so that's a basic 3-point light setup. I hope this works better. Okay, so first off, if we check our render, we lost a lot of that spec, so we could bring back a bit of spec. Let's go to its material attributes. Let's bring back a bit of that spec. So let's bring this to like 0.2. No. 0.3. Okay, 0.4. I'm looking at the sample, guys. So as you can see, the sample matches the color quite well, which is a really good thing because that way you don't really have to go in and render every time. So what's wrong with our sample? This is a bit too orange. Remember, this is like the muscle area. So let's bring this down to not so red, not so orange. And then this, we have to bring this to white. Okay, it's not working. Bring it to something like that. That looks pinkish. Not too white, guys. Something like that. And as for this, the backscatter, really just dark, pure red. Give it more color. Alright, let's try this. Render this out. So we fixed the lighting, we fixed the colors. This should look quite good and quite okay. We can proceed to the texturing then. Oh, the backscatter is orange. What happened? This is not gonna look good. Cancel, cancel. It's supposed to be this. There you go. Okay, let's render that. Like I said, guys, this is quite render heavy. You guys can skip every time I render, I guess. Yep, I'm lazy. I do not like to cut my videos. So anyways, I don't want to lose the quality, that's the thing. I don't know. My laptop doesn't have the best video editors because I work mostly in school. And there, now that is a really good skid shader. So for the ear, we could add a bit more of that backscatter. And we got the spec to the level we want. And this is looking really good. So let's bring the spec out, the backscatter a bit higher. So for the depth, we can bring this up to 4. What this does is it increases the area that it will affect. It might affect a bit of the nose, and I want that. Okay, then let's bring the weight up to, let's try 1 and see what happens. So let's save this image out. Let's render. So again, this part of the shading process is quite heavy. That's why I did this part first before going in and texturing it. And there, see the ear? We added a bit more of that backscatter, and it is looking fairly good. I would go in and add a bit more though, make it a bit more red. Yeah, let's try that. So let's increase the backscatter weight to something larger. Let's increase the redness a bit. Let's do 1.5. That's a fairly big increase. Let's save this. So, oh yeah, and if you compare this to the previous render, as you can see, backscatter affects automatically. Maya reads the thinnest areas of your model. This is not according to how you built it. It is according to the thickness between like this portion of the mesh and the back portion of the mesh. So technically, this is quite thin, right? Like we did not extrude it in to create fake skin. No, we didn't do that. What Maya is reading is the thickness. So for example, for the nose, here in this area of the nose, the thickness would be from here to the other side of the nose, and from this point of the nose, it would be like here until the back of the head. So usually some people, we fake this with textures. I will do that in the next video. This will be a 2-video series of the texturing and of the shading. So yeah, we increase the backscatter and let's render this out. If you want the skin shade alone, you don't even need to create your UVs anymore. But you know, that's for us lazy people if we like doing that. In a production pipeline, you still have to though. And in a production pipeline, they don't just put the colors, because in these colors you could actually add in textures, and you could really go in and control every single bit of it. And there, I'm fairly happy with this backscatter, this final one. And there you guys. That's it, guys. Oh yeah, for the samples, as you can see, this guy is pretty much, he looks pretty sandy. So you can go into the samples here in our light map. Here, samples are 64. We can pump this up to 128. And if we render that out, let's save this image and render that out. So let's say you're working with someone more Chinese, or with the lighter people. What you really want to do is you just bring down the subdermal weight, and that will make him whiter. If you if you bring it if you bring the subdermal weight to like a browner color, that will make him browner. But everything else is pretty much the same for anyone. Yeah. If you want to play more with color, it's really just the subdermal you want to play with. A bit of the epidermal and not much for the diffuse. Don't touch the diffuse. Diffuse color is really if they have makeup on, this is where you put it. And it's usually white, and then for example the makeup is blue, or if you have lipstick, it's like a red dot in the middle, and then you get like a red dot here. Yeah, for lipstick. Anyways, we'll proceed to that in the next video. So as you can see, the samples we increased. We get less of that sandy effect, but it's still there. So the samples can really be like a ridiculous amount. Could be like 360. Let's try that. Throw it up at a ridiculous amount. It does not increase render time that much. What really increases the render time is the light map and this is the light map, but the light map samples are quite flexible compared to the samples of light, and compared to the samples like in Final Gather and stuff like that. See, I mean, here it's rendering again and didn't take that long. So now we have like no more um problems with the samples on the skin. What's really causing this sample problem is our samples from the light, the back, and our final gather is flickering. So let's fix that. First off, let's do a production quality render. So in our accuracy, let's bring this up to 50. Point density, we can leave it at that. Point interpolation, we can bring up to 300. Now this will slow down our render quite a lot. Let's do 250. Sampling, we can leave that at 0. Doesn't really matter that much. It will only deal with the edges and some of the lights, but doesn't really matter. The big player, the big kicker in this is our directional light. Here, no, that's not our directional light. There's our directional light. Here, our shadow rays are 8. Let's bring that to 32. And let's render this out, and we can end this video. So don't be afraid to play around with the settings. You can always change the color for an alien version of the model. You can always do a liquid effect. You could always do, I don't know. You could follow like the red theme here that's going on. I mean, yeah, do this, like reverse it. Like the front is red and the backscatter is yellow. You guys could try that. Yeah, and like send that to me or something. That would be interesting. Yeah. This is also a nice effect on fruits. You could also practice on grapes, practice on strawberries, oranges. You could also practice on wax, like if you're dealing with candles. even erasers. How about, I don't know, you could do this with a lot of stuff actually. It's usually best for stuff like that, you know, waxy things, like things where light can pass through. Yeah. Like paper, if you really want to go into that much detail with paper. Yeah. So see, our render time increased a bit more drastically because of the final gather. Yeah, mostly because of the final gather. And there you go, that's a really clean render. And just pump up the samples, pump up the file size, and you'll get something really good. Now we went for realistic skin. If we're dealing with cartoony skin, this would have a really big difference between cartoony look and realistic look. So let's scroll through. There you go. And that's it. That's it, guys. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. If you like this, leave a comment. And yeah, the next video will be how to texture this and add eyebrows, add eyeshadow, or you know, those scars, stuff like that. So yeah, leave a comment and have a nice day. Cheers.